I hope the best. So, about this course, this is a historical, economic history. Basically, we are living in the world economy, but very important to analyze which is the trajectory of formation of the world economy, which is the background, because a world economy formed the first phase in Europe, and the background and the basis constructed according to European standards. But later, step by step, the world economy globalized. Okay, some elementary information necessary to define about the course. Fundamental information. This is a lecture. A lecture in the one-side communication officially, but time by time I will stop and I try to make a communication and discussion. Sometimes it's successful, other time not. Value of this course, some students spoke about selected this course for the credit. It's 2 or 4 credits. I don't know the logic of the rating. 2 or 4 credits, I don't know. 2 surface I found on the Neptune electronical surface. One course value is 2 and other one is a 4 credit. In this case, I am not an expert. Necessary to find in this question employees of Office of Education. Participation. Participation not mandatory. As I mentioned, I am able to make a lecture in front of the wall, but I am not enjoying. Therefore, not mandatory, but each of my lecture, at the end of each of my lecture, I will read list of participants. And I make a catalog about participation. If somebody won't participate any lecture, it's not disadvantage. But if somebody participate some proportion of my lecture, in the formation of the grade, I will take into consideration. If somebody nowhere participate in the lecture, it's no problem, because I will load up my lecture to my YouTube education channel as a series, Netflix series or HBO series, able to see during the weekend. It's no problem. It's no problem. But if somebody devotes the free time for visiting on my lecture, I will take into consideration. And the proportion is my personal secret. How many percent mean participation, quite regular participation. Yeah? Okay, exam. This is a lecture, therefore, period of lecture is a free time. If somebody there is a ambition, participate. If not, won't participate. But in the middle of May, we'll start the exam period. Exam is a written exam. Why not oral exam? Because oral exam, in consequence of different level of communication and the vocabulary, it's not the same chance. Because I am not interested for the grammatical perfection, I am interested for the information, quality of information. A written exam, exam period start in 21st May and will start at the end of June. I will ask in the written exam 5 questions. 3 definition-like question. Definition is not a classical definition, no definition, for example, of sun, definition of chair, definition of intellectual capacity, not a classical definition. It's a short answer necessary to write for the question. 3, 4, 5 sentences. And 2 short essays, some analysis. I will load up the slide series to the code space. You will load down. Okay, which is the procedure of evaluation. After the written exam, I will evaluate the written exam and I will send my evaluation via mail function of CoSpace. You know which is the CoSpace. This is the electronic surface of student and the lecturers. I will send evaluation with the grade. In this situation, it's possible two reactions. The first, no reaction. If no reaction, I will record to the Neptune electronic surface the grade. The second option is discuss my evaluation. It's two options in this case. The first one, I accept why the student discussed my evaluation and I will correct up or down my grade. The second one, you can repeat any times the exam. Why? Because my interest, you learn this kind of information which I try to teach for you. Okay? You can repeat more times. And I will record the best one. The best grade. Preparation for exam. Regular participation, of course, I will take into consideration, as I mentioned. The second one, I will load up a handout to the CoSpace. You can read the material, what about I will speak. There is a possible personal consultation if you won't understand something. Electronically, each of electronic surface, you can find my email address. Personally, after the course, it's not good option because I am tired, quite tired after the lecture. And as consultation, my office number in this building, in the B staircase, you can find in my office. Okay, good. This is the general information concerning the successful performance of this course. There is a question or comments or mention. Good. Okay. If somebody will some question problem after today's lecture, you can ask. Good. Some elementary information necessary to define at the beginning of each of the scientific courses. Why? Because a science, a classical academic science, this is the classical way for understanding the function of the verb. Necessary to define the fundamental terms, because without definition of fundamental terms, we are not able to make efficient communication. We have to define the space, because world economy system unfolded on the space. The space is a lot of meaning. There is a geometrical space, geographical space, mental space. Very important to define we are thinking which dimension of the space. The second one, the time. World economy system are historical construction. Therefore, very important to know how we can understand evolution of world economy system on the time. World economy system. This is the construction of of historical construction. If we are looking the history, we can change the focus. Like, for example, a photographer. If we focus to the history, for example, political history, a form of economy a little bit less clean, and we change the focus to economic event, the political event and the political construction not so clean, not so clear. Therefore, if we are using this metaphor of the photographer, we will focus to economic event, economic construction of the past. And finally, Europe. Europe, a historical construction. Europe, the term of Europe used first time the Greek philosopher. And if looking back, not the Greek philosopher, used in the Greek mythology. Somebody know who was the person of Europe? The person of Europe. Somebody know? It's a princess. In the Greek mythology, a princess, a Phoenician princess. Somebody know who are the Phoenicians? Lived in the Near East. A Phoenician constructed the first form of the money. And the great nation of the trade founded great cities, Byblos, Sidon, Tyros. It's a great city of antiquity, and organized the great network of the trade in the Mediterranean Sea. For example, founded Carthage, the most important rival of Roman Empire. And Europe, a Phoenician princess who vogued on the seaside and met somebody. Somebody know the story? Nobody? Met a white bull, a cattle. And who was the white bull? Zeus. Zeus, the main god of Greek mythology. This was the first, a myth about Europe, and finally somebody met personally with the bulls, cattle. It's a very dangerous animal. I spent my childhood in a small village and worked together, no hippopotamus and large animals, but cattle and horses work together. And the bull, the most dangerous animal which I met in my life, anyway. But it was a white bull, and this white bull was able to speak. It's quite around, and spoke with Europe. And this was a great temptation, a strong bull. It's a great myth. This was the first appearance of the term of Europe. And the second one was a Greek geographer described the boundary of Europe. Somebody know which was the eastern boundary of Europe, the Greek term of Europe? River Don. River Don. This is the area where recently there is the main front between Russia and Ukraine. It's very interesting to read history, because in the frame of Ukrainian and Russian war reactivated one boundary which defined on the time of antiquity. And the western boundary is Gibraltar. It's named the Pillar of Hercules. Okay, but Europe, it's very important because the world economy system founded in Europe and unfolded and globalized according to European standards. Look at the first space. If we are trying to understand the space, the meaning of the space, very important to see a historical map. Look at the classical historical map. On the historical map, at least three spatial information you can identify. The first one, the distance. If you open a map, the first information with which you can identify the scale on the corner of the map, because the scale able to realize the real space, this distance on the map, how we can realize the real distance on the real world. The second information, a surface, the geomorphology. This is on the right side, right corner of the map of the slide. You can identify a landscape of Czechia, Czech Republic. A green one, that is our plain area, and a gray area, it's a hilly area, and the brown area, a mountain area. There is a geographer in the audience. It's very important because the map, a language. For example, a military map able to concentrate unbelievable quantity of information. a geological map, unbelievable quantity of information. But if somebody would like to understand real and deep manner maps necessary to learn, like a foreign language, learning and reading the maps. And the last one, a political structure. If we are looking, for example, historical studies, a lot of, for example, this is a Germany. This is a map about a Germany. There is a German student, no German student. Because the Germany, it's a very interesting country. I passed half year in Munich and in other part a shorter time. And very interesting because Germany as a national state unified only in the 19th century, second half of the 19th century. Therefore, tribal and regional identity much stronger, much stronger. For example, the best one, I lived together in the student hostel. One student during the 80s came from Berlin. Berlin, this is the core area and the capital of Prussia. Prussia. You know which is the Prussia? It's for Hungarian student Poros. Prussia. This is the highest rank in the hierarchy, identity hierarchy in Germany. And somebody know which is the lowest one in the ladder hierarchy? Bavarians. Bavarians. For example, when Bismarck, the chancellor who unified, who organized the unification of Germany, read a book of Darwin about the evolution theory, and in the large audience spoke about the book of Darwin and told this joke that I understood the missing link, the monkeys and the humans, Bavarians. Disdain these Bavarians. It's a very interesting regional and identity hierarchy. And you can see and identify different provinces in Germany. Okay, this is the historical approach. At least three information you have identified. The first one, distance. The second one, landscape and geomorphology, and the political units. Look at the geography. If we are an important geographer, and the geography, there are a lot of different space theory. For example, regional theory, microregions, mesoregions, macroregions. But look at the basic theory, which introduced even on the 19th century, a geographical space. First geographical space, a lithosphere. Lithosphere, this is the rock surface of the globe. Its size changed between 140, 160 kilometers. This is the surface. The second one, a pedosphere. A pedosphere, this is the soil surface. Somebody know which is the size of the soil in global average? How many meters? Nobody knows. It's very interesting because I taught at the Central European University. You know which is the Central European University? This was one university at Budapest. But unfortunately, in consequence of political conflict, moved to Vienna. But this was very interesting because audience and the student came from different parts of the countries. Different parts of the countries. For example, from China, from Kazakhstan, from Turkey, from Serbia, from Hungary, everywhere. And it was very interesting the behavior of students. Basically different behavior of American student and the European style student. Which is the differences? In the European education system, basically the German-based education system, students are under pressure. Pressure of teacher and pressure of parents. Moreover, the student, the teacher and parents communicate over the head of pupils. Which is the strategy of student? Came from the German-like strategy, German-like school, Under pressure, survival. Only survival. Which is the good form of the survival? Avoid the eye contact and save the most important organs. And very interesting, in American style, majority of audience came from the German line, survive. No more target, no more strategy. Okay, American student, much more not information-based education. Because in German, like student and pupils learn a lot of information and forget majority of information. But under pressure, almost continuously. Look at the American style education system. Very minimal the quantity of information. Look at, for example, the Hollywood movies. No, lot of material, lot of information, but focused to communication. Communication. And my experience was the same. I was able to identify the American student on my course, find my eye contact, and each of my question raised the hand. And majority of comments, it was a very silly and no real information, but strategy was a communication. And Central European University was an excellent place because a two strategy and a well-educated and offensive communication strategy, it's somehow had interaction. But majority of audience, like me for example, because I remember to my experiences about the elementary and secondary school, the main strategy was the survival. Okay, pedosphere. My question was, I tried to motivate the student. The question was, if you remember, which is the size of soil, the pedosphere? How many meters?
About half.
Half meter. It's participate in my former course. Okay, half meter. Why so important in half meter? Half meters, it's only half meter. And survival, whole of the humankind, depend on half meter. Moreover, this half meter soil under chemotherapy for pesticide and fertilizer. Without chemotherapy, not able produce nothing. It's very critical, very critical. Surface of the earth, a pedosphere, and fragility of our civilization depend on the pedosphere. Moreover, the liquid, the water content of soil, the global soil, it's much higher than water content of each lake and each river. More water there are in the pedosphere. Why so dangerous? Because look at this village, this is this city. Majority of city undercover asphalted surface. And under the asphalted surface, there are a desert. Like gunpowder. Because no infiltration of water, no infiltration of it's not a real soil, it's a desert under the asphalted covered surface. Okay, pedosphere is a critical because this is the key factor of human survival. Hydrosphere, of course you know, 2/3 of the surface of the earth covering by global ocean. Biosphere, we are member of biosphere. Atmosphere, it's very important, size of atmosphere, this is a filter around the earth, only 100 kilometers, but almost 90% of gases under 30 kilometers. concentration of gases, nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide is concentration is growing to the surface, and 30 kilometers it's contained 99% of gases of atmosphere. Okay, anthroposphere. Anthroposphere are surface which constructed by humans. It is building asphalted surface, highways, and you can identify a location of anthroposphere, the sphere of human. This is a picture about the night globe, the night Earth, and you can identify Europe, and I call your attention. Probably you know, identify in the right corner of Earth, Europe. On Europe, there are two very light areas. Southern coast of Northern Sea, and northern part of Italian peninsula. Why so interesting? I ask you, remember when we try to describe urban evolution of Europe. On the 11th century, the most urbanized area, whole of Europe, was Low Countries, is the coastal area of Northern Sea, and northern part of Italy. The same, because in the history, the historical structure able to survive for century or sometimes for millennia. Okay, and the last sphere, a noosphere. A noosphere means an intellectual surface of the globe. Intellectual surface means a human intellectual performances. This term introduced a Jesuit monk in the middle of 20th century on the book of Le Phénomène Humain, the human phenomenon, in the middle of 20th century, and of course recently identified to the internet, the cyberspace, but on the time of Teilhard de Chardin, of course only the academical construction, libraries, universities, academic institute form the noosphere, the intellectual sphere around the world. Okay, this is the approach of geography. A geography tries to describe a space according to spheres. Okay, look at the ecological space. Ecology, founded in the 19th century and for 1 century at least, was a sub-discipline of biology. And I analyzed the community of animals, community of insects, community of plants in small, well-identifiable area. But in the 60s, ecology became and constructed and taken to global frame. And the ecology and the ecological concept became the most important term of intellectual innovation of last 40 decades. Ecology tried to describe and tried to define the space similarly. Look at the classical definition. A classical definition of ecology. It's constructed by American ecologist Eugene Paul Adam. In the middle of 20th century, it's a generally accepted definition. Any unit that include all of the organism, for example, the community in a given area. Why so important the given area? Because in the ecology, no hierarchy of space. I mentioned in the case of geography, in geography construct a hierarchy, like a Matryoshka doll. You know this is a Russian doll. There is a small one, larger one, larger, larger, larger. No, in the ecology, each unit analyzed like independent identity. For example, a puddle on the pavement, whole of the globe, maybe a ecological unit. A globe or a puddle on the pavement, similarly, identical ecological unit. So, continue the definition. In a given area, interacting with physical environment, so that flow of energy. It's a crucial mention. The flow of energy. Why so important? Because we can describe even the human history according to energetical system and the using of energy. How? If we are looking at which kind of energy we are using on the Earth, majority, 99.9%, almost whole of the energy came from sun, a solar energy. This is a nuclear fusion from helium to hydrogen to helium. This is a nuclear fusion. Drive the solar radiation to the surface of Earth. On the surface of Earth, approximately 3 million years ago, appeared the first bacteria, later the plants able to make photosynthesis. Why so important? Because solar radiation via photosynthesis able to transform to chemical energy. Chemical energy. Solar energy, nuclear fusion arrived on the Earth to transform a chemical energy. On the food chain, a chemical energy on the body of animals like me or like you transform on the body of herbivores, omnivores, and carnivores, transform moving energy and heating energy. And very important and crucial, the rate of conversion. A human body, it's a champion on this rivalry competition because able to transform from chemical energy. You are visiting in the restaurant and ate the meals. This is the chemical energy conversion. Looking, this is like a photographer, focus to the energical focus. 18%. It's a best one. The highest rate of conversion because each of the domesticated animal, herbivores, able to convert only 10%. Not by chance that before the Industrial Revolution, activation of fossil fuels, before Industrial Revolution, 70% of energy which used in the old dynasty of Egypt and son of king of France and Roman Empire, each traditional empire, the energy which used 70%, it's a somatical energy of inhabitants, humans. Only 30% a draw power of domesticated animals and a simple engine like, for example, water mills and windmills. 70% a somatical energy. It's very easy to understand why transform so deeply the Industrial Revolution, whole of the human capacity, whole of the human civilization, because step up unbelievable high level, the activation of energy. Not by chance, the recent time, after the Industrial Revolution, named Anthropocene, age of human. Before Industrial Revolution, we are arrival of lions and any other animals. But after the Industrial Revolution, other representatives of animal world lost the competition. And each day disappear one biological species. Okay, good. Next step, mental map. Why is so important the mental map? Because if you try and remember, for example, the trajectory, how you arrived to this lecture, it's not so easy, not so easy. And if you try to memorize the trajectory, you are not able to remember each detail. What mean this example? Our brain, our memories about the space, not a GPS. Our brain not memorize whole of the detail of the map. Only some crucial element. Some crucial, somebody know which is the mental map? Okay, define the mental map. Mental map, mental mapping, it's a very easy, very simple operation. If somebody would like to make a mental map, take for you a white sheet and ask you, for example, drawing your memories between your lodging and this lecture room. And which is the most important peculiarity of the mental map? A lot of missing place, a lot of white place. Because you remember only the starting place and the arriving, the target, and some crucial point of trajectory, where necessary take decision. Turn right, turn left, and going straight. Therefore, a mental map, one of the most important peculiarity, selectivity. Selectivity. Only the crucial information memorized. Why? Because using the brain is very exhaustive. Very exhaustive. I remember when I was a student, if not so interested in the lecture, I turned back to standby. Because thinking it's very, very exhausting. If we are using turn back use of energy, the body used energy 26% used by brain. Therefore, it's very high rate of using energy. Therefore, if there is a possibility, turn back to standby, relax. Okay, selectivity. The second one, emotion. If somebody had accident somewhere, it's stomach up. I have some memories about outskirts of Szeged. Other side, first time identified a mental mapping in Chicago, or Chicago, because founded by French people, in Chicago in the 60s. And one of the first experiments tried to identify emotion about different districts of Chicago, and distributed for elementary school students or pupils pictures about some district of Chicago, and necessary to mention some emotion. And the middle class pupil, the swimming pool buildings, wrote joy, happiness, and the immigrants, hate. Because look the swimming pool from other side of the fence. Therefore, the emotion, very important peculiarity, which was introduced by mental mapping to the concept of space, concept of thinking about the space. Turn back. This is a classical map. It's a border case published. It's a world map published in Australia. And for us, a little bit surprising, because for Australians, the core area of the world, of course, Australia. And Europe is the left, right corner, United States in the left corner. But this is a classical geographical map. But some mental elements contained. Okay, but look at a mental map about Paris, capital of France. Somebody visited in Paris? I suggest to everybody, unbelievable place. It's a world city, but necessary to learn French, because the French people don't like to. When I visited the first time in the 80s, in the last century, I imagined that the new generation will learn at least English or any other, but no hope. No hope. French people, even the new generation, want to learn any other languages. If somebody living in Paris, not necessary. Okay. If in the first generation of mental mapping, Stanley Milgram, a American geographer, made a mental map of Paris. Mental mapping, as you know, received approximately 400 Parisian white sheet and draw the most important buildings and landscape element about Paris to the white sheet. And look at the rank list. The first one, the winner is a Seine River. A Seine River. It's obviously because look at the construction and the structure of Paris. It's flowing through the city. If somebody it's walking or driving in Paris, not easy to avoid the river. Okay, the winner is the Seine. The second one, outskirts of Paris. Why? Because living in the downtown is very expensive. Only the very rich people and the tourists, the rich tourists, able to pay enough for the price of buildings in the downtown of the cities. Therefore, the majority of people came from the outskirts, came from the banlieue, as mentioned by Parisian. The third one, Étoile Arc de Triomphe, constructed by Napoleon at the end of Champs-Élysées, the great avenue of Paris. And on the Arc de Triomphe, there is a Hungarian city name. Somebody know which Hungarian city name there is on the Arc de Triomphe? Foreign students know it's excellent. It's one grade up. But Hungarian student, on which Hungarian city had a battle of Napoleon? Nobody? Győr. Győr is a north-western part of Hungary, and only one Hungarian name. Each of the battle name, there is on the Arc de Triomphe. Okay, the third one, fourth, Notre Dame, of course, on the Ile-de-France. Tour Eiffel, of course, this is a symbol of city, but obviously when constructed I don't know, it's at the end of 19th century, it was a temporary construction. But so successful, it's reconstructed more times, and recently one of the symbols of the city. And the last one, Bois de Boulogne. Bois means forest. Students who know the solution, I excluding from the rivalry. But my question, one forest, why so important to the inhabitant of Paris that there is a sixth position? Bois de Boulogne. Forest. Why?
Because that's different from the parts of the city, so like that's
Exactly.
nature, like it's all nature. No,
Yes.
it's not right.
It's possible, but in Paris there are a public park. Not so important, visiting almost outskirts.
To change it, like the climate change or the climate change.
Okay, solution a little bit more simpler. This is the core area of prostitution. And very interesting, probably you know, majority of audience came from the Faculty of Economics. And in the marketing, there is a special term, efficiency of information. How efficient the information which trying to proliferate, And who are the consumer of prostitution? Profile of the consumer. Middle class male. In the experiment, had half women, half male. Look at the result. 49.1% not only knew the name of the location of the place of prostitution, but was able to draw in the right place. Therefore, if we are looking from the photographer logic, this is the most efficient information. Almost each male knew the location and knew the name. Okay, mental mapping. Look at the time. Look at the time. If we are looking, we are trying to understand the time, the meaning of the time. Very important to define the calendar. A calendar which we are using describe and separating a different part of the time. The first calendar is based on astronomical experiences. Not by chance, if we are looking at human history, there are two types of calendar. A sun calendar, in the Christian calendar is a sun calendar, but quite a popular were moon calendaries. The old Jews calendar, a moon calendar, old Muslim calendar, a moon calendar, and the old, according to my knowledge, but fortunately there are a Chinese student in the audience, old Chinese calendar, to my last information, a moon calendar was. Chinese student? Not true. Okay, we will verify after today's lecture, but to my knowledge it was a moon calendar. There is a rivalry, different calendar, but recently the winner is, not by chance, in consequence of great career of European civilization, a sun calendar. After the appearance of agriculture, increased the importance of period of vegetation and appeared on the scale of time the seasons. Before the agrarian activity, no meaning of the seasons, but after the timing of plowing and harvesting and sowing, it's increased the importance of vegetation periods. After appearance of great religions, increased the importance of the liturgical hours. I suppose on the audience there are Muslim students. It's not disadvantage, it's only information. How many times necessary to pray? 5 times. Christian students, Happy Christians enough. I have free time, and God is a free time. It's possible to meet on the church. Christian, how many times? How many times?
Every meal and every Sunday.
Every Sunday?
And before every meal.
Yeah, but if somebody is continuously eating, it's not so easy to organize. But officially, how many times? Not a hobby Christian, not a real Christian. How many times? Per day. Because for the Muslim student I tell that sometimes the Christian thinking is 5 times, exaggeration. No, 4 times. More or less the same rate. Because if somebody, why so important? Because in the religious approach, cognition strategy, okay, open. For the verb, there are a lot of different cognition strategies. Understanding the verb. We are recently in the academic world in the university, and we try to understand the verb on the way of rational cognition, which is the most important element and strategy of rational cognition, define the facts. Which is the facts? The facts are which we can verify or deny. Why so important? Because if we are able to define the facts and understand the procedure of definition, we are able to learn information quite easily. It's depends on the devotion. This is the strength of rational cognition. It's very easy to pass information. If you participate, if you look in the recorded lecture, able to understand the information which I try to tell. But look at the religious cognition, which is the elementary strategy of religious cognition. Continuous contact with God, with angels, with the spiritual world. Like, for example, running, necessary to take into train day by day. And how the people able to verify this contact?
Which one?
How you can understand the spiritual message?
From the book and from the guidance given by our prophet.
Yeah, by holy books, for example, Bible or Quran, and other personal meeting with God or angels. Look at the story, for example, the story of Muhammad. Muhammad met personally Archangel Gabriel. Look at the story of Saint Paul from the Christian heritage. Met personally with Jesus. Lost the consciousness. But for us, this is only a story. Nobody lost the consciousness. Nobody. Because if somebody had a divine experience, received the final cognition. But the final cognition is a person. And for us, only a story. This is the strength of religious cognition. When Muhammad received the divine cognition, and St. Paul in the Christian heritage received the divine cognition, no hesitation. Because received for us, for intellectual way, no final cognition. Open the book which published 20 years ago. Majority of facts is not true. It's other strategy of cognition. Other strategy of cognition. But recently, fortunately or unfortunately, I am not able to change the history. Recently, in Europe, in the developed country, only one strategy of cognition is generally accepted, the rational strategy. Any other is close to ghetto. Close to the ghetto. If I speak, for example, yesterday I spoke with Gabriel Archangel. Nobody believed in this lecture, I am sure. But it's possible. It's possible. But it's a personal experience. Okay, but I have a license only for rational cognition and I try to do my best in this way. Turn back. Liturgical hours. Liturgical hours. Very important for the fine saving and taking the continuous contact with the spiritual world. And mechanical clocks. Very interesting, the innovation of mechanical clocks, which innovated and constructed in Korea, China, and Europe independently. And very interesting, the first construction, it was a local construction. Therefore, the clocks turn right to left, left to right. Only in the 18th century standardized the direction of the turning of the clocks left to right. But if you visit to Prague, capital of Czech Republic, somebody visited in Prague, in Czech Republic, capital, I suggest to you visiting to Józefov, one district of Prague, and saved the old style public clocks. Turn back, turn back. And the tourist is very surprising because it's 2 o'clock and recently it's 1:30. But turn back, because this is a historical heritage. Before the standardization, some area left to right, other area right to left. And the local people knew which is the real meaning of the clocks, okay? Mechanical clocks. Which were the devices, very important devices which used for the measuring of time. The simplest version, a sundial. A sundial weakness during the night and cloudy weather is not so efficient. Therefore, the Greek scholar introduced the water clocks, 2 barrels, and flowing the water one to other, and using a scale, and incense burner, used, for example, somebody watching kung fu movies. Nobody kung fu. It's quite aggressive movies after midnight. I like ironing. Other people who like ironing? Nobody? Very proud for you. Because I have 3 daughters and my wife, and using the smartphone and the ironing, because I'm an Iron Man. This is the definition, closest definition for that. And during the night, looking at very aggressive movies is quite a good, because function like a cafe. It's activate, it's moving up the adrenaline and so and so. And for example, somebody know the Ip Man movie, Ip Man. Ip Man was a master of Bruce Lee. In Hong Kong, using the style of fight on the round table fighting. Nobody knows a round table fighting. 2 masters jump to the round table, burn an incense burner, and when burn down, this is the time of the fight, and the winner is who left on the round table. Okay, incense burner. And for example, monastery, a Christian monastery used the candle for the same function, not for fighting, for praying and for some service, religious service, timing. And finally appear the mechanical clocks. But if we are looking at the history as a discipline, academic word, 2 types of description of historical time are using. The first one, a linear, irreversible, and cumulative time conception. What mean? A linear and irreversible and cumulative time conception used until the end of 19th century, generally accepted. It's mean, imagine the world, imagine the history, it's follow the same trajectory. Each people, each folks, each civilization, it's going on the same trajectory. This is a linear. Each civilization walking on the same highway. The second one, irreversible. From the recent time, from the present, only one way out onto the direction of future. No machinery to the traveling to the past, only one way, irreversible. Which happened, it's a done, no way back. And cumulative mean imagined on the 19th century a history like a giant puzzle. Each human deeds one piece of the puzzle. And the mission of historian, according to concept of the 19th century, take to the right place the puzzle, piece of the puzzle. And finally, the historian step back and look the picture and the meaning, understand the meaning of human history. This was the classical historical concept. But at the turn of 19th and 20th century introduced a new concept of the time, a cycle concept. Very interesting, no philosopher, neither historian introduced, but an economist, a new concept of time. Why? Because in the second half of 19th century proliferated everywhere in the developed countries anyway, stock of exchange. Everybody knows which are the stock of exchange. And the people, dealers and the brokers would like to be rich. And which is the strategy became earning money on the stock of exchange. Somehow forecasting the future. Forecasting the future. What will happen in the future? How we can able to forecast the future event in the stock of exchange, economic process? Two strategy. And the first one are time series analysis. At the beginning of 20th century, a lot of time series founded the statistical office, gathering a lot of information for production prices and the salaries, a lot of economic information, and try to describe, try to analyze the same form repetition in the time series. This is the cycle. This is the simplest version of the cycle. Other strategy forecasting the future, the modelizing of the event. The simplest model, the Coke model, you know probably Coke model. Take one coin, receive a bottle of Coke. This is a simple one. Other models are a little bit more complicated, but not so easy to understand. For example, one of my research topic is forecasting the weather and the climate changes. I spoke about that at the beginning of today's lecture, that the atmosphere, a very thin filter around the Earth. But the computer capacity not enough for modeling this very thin atmosphere surface around the Earth. Therefore, modeling is not so easy job, even in the case of weather forecasting. Good, turn back. Two strategies for forecasting: time series analysis and modeling. And for making a cycle concept, used a time series analysis and identified returning cycle in the time series of production, salaries, prices, and economic indicators. Different type of cycle. Hitchin, it's a British scholar, identified a 40-month long cycle. Juglar, a French scholar, 6 to 8 years long cycle. And Dmitry Dmitrievich Kondratyev, a Russian scholar, 40 to 60 years long cycle. Why interesting for us, a cycle strategy? Because for economists, for earn money on the stock of exchange. But the historian try to use a cycle theory in the historical past. The first historian, Ernst Labrus, a French historian, tried to describe the event before the French Revolution and identify a 10 to 12 years long crisis cycle before French Revolution at the end of 18th century. And other very important, very seminal historian Fernand Braudel identified a secular cycle. Secular cycle. Why important for us a secular cycle, more 100 long cycle? Because if we are living, for example, at the beginning of 21st century, we are recently, according to Braudel's cycle, it's a downturn of the cycle. But for us, this is the normal situation. Look at, for example, after the Second World War, this is the greatest recovery, whole of the human history. For the contemporary, this up position was the norm. Therefore, the normality is depend, maybe we are in which phase of the secular cycle.